France has announced it intends to recognize a Palestinian state at the UN General Assembly in September. President Emmanuel Macron says he hopes it will help bring peace to the region. That decision making France the first ally of Israel and the first G7 nation to recognize Palestinian statehood. Mr. Macron confirmed the move in a social media post, in which he also shared a letter sent to Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas. The Palestinian Authority welcomed France's decision, saying it reflects the nation's commitment to international law. The Israeli Prime Minister, though, saying that decision, quote, rewards terror and risks creating another Iranian proxy. The announcement also drawing ire from the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, slamming what he called a reckless decision. France will join the list of more than 140 countries that have already recognized a Palestinian state. And more, Ross Cullen joins us live from Paris, and Blake Sifton, he is live for us in Tel Aviv. Let's start with you, Ross. France's president making it clear on his social media post why he made that decision. But how would you explain what President Macron has done on Palestinian statehood?
Well, the presidential policy has been long-standing, Wei Su, that France believes in a two-state solution to the Middle East situation. But French President Emmanuel Macron hinted earlier in the year that he might be minded to recognise a Palestinian state, and he has now given that formal notice that will take place in September. We've had a lot of varied reaction in France today to that decision by the French president. The French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot said that Hamas is a terrorist organisation that has never believed in a two-state solution. France has chosen the path of peace, not the path of war. The decision has also been celebrated by the hard left in the French Parliament, but they have said that it's come around as a result of their own popular mobilisation, because recognising Palestine has been a long-standing policy of theirs. But on the other side of the French Parliament, the hard-right party, National Rally, Marine Le Pen is perhaps the most well-known figurehead of that party, saying that Emmanuel Macron did so, in her opinion, for his own personal political motives, and her party leader, Jordan Bardella, saying that the decision by Emmanuel Macron gives Hamas institutional legitimacy. We will have that UN conference between France and Saudi Arabia next week, where we might look at possible ways to reconstruct Gaza, and then the United Nations General Assembly in New York in September will be the forum where Emmanuel Macron will announce that France is formally recognising Palestine.
All right, Blake, we heard there what Ross had to say. So division within France itself, and certainly no surprise that Israel has not been happy with that announcement from the French president.
That's right, Wei Su. While this recognition of Palestinian statehood by France is largely a symbolic gesture, it is piling on pressure on Israel to end its war in Gaza and to alleviate the suffering of Palestinians there. We've had outraged reaction from Israeli leaders. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says that Israel strongly condemns the decision, says that it rewards terror, and that a Palestinian state would provide a launchpad to annihilate Israel. We've also heard reaction from Israeli opposition leader, head of the opposition, Yair Lapid. Now, he is not normally on the same side of any issue as Benjamin Netanyahu, but he has said that the Palestinians should not be rewarded for October 7th, and that this announcement is a moral mistake and a diplomatic error. We've also heard from Israel's immigration minister. He's gone so far as to say that following this announcement, Jewish citizens of France should leave France. They should move to Israel, saying that Israel is their true home. And all of this has been echoed by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. He's called the decision reckless, says it serves Hamas propaganda, and that it is a slap in the face to the victims of October 7th. So we're certainly hearing quite a bit of outraged reaction by Israeli leaders and by the U.S. Secretary of State as international pressure on Israel to change its conduct in the war in Gaza continues to mount.
Oh, Blake, a great deal of this international pressure is because of the humanitarian situation that we see, the pictures of that every day coming out of Gaza. It is dire.
We're continuing to hear testimony on the worsening starvation situation in Gaza. Today, Friday, Doctors Without Borders said that over the past week, 1/4 of the children, mothers, new mothers, and pregnant women that it had treated in its clinics in Gaza were malnourished, and they viewed what they called Israel's policy of starvation. Also on Friday, the branch of the Israeli military that deals with the flow of goods into Gaza categorically said that there is no famine in the Gaza Strip, though they did acknowledge that there are issues of access to food. Of course, in recent days, Israeli authorities have blamed the UN for not distributing aid. They say that aid is piling up along border checkpoints between Israel and Gaza. In turn, the UN says that they are simply not receiving permission from the Israeli military to regularly pick up and distribute aid. Now, just in the last little while, we have actually also heard that Jordan and the United Arab Emirates plan to begin airdropping aid into Gaza once again. Of course, they did this last year, and these airdrops of aid may begin as early as today. And while that would introduce a measure of relief, a limited amount of additional supplies into Gaza, experts have said that it is no solution to the problem and that some 600 trucks of aid are needed to enter Gaza every day in order to meet the needs of the people. And of course, far, far less than that has been entering Gaza over the course of the last several months.
I think that Blake Sifton there in Tel Aviv explaining what's happening in Gaza, possibly a contributor factor to the French president's decision to acknowledge Palestinian state at the UN General Assembly in September. That's Cullen there reporting from Paris and Blake Sifton in Tel Aviv.